Well, hello there. Welcome to a second cup of tea. I'm Lily, and I had asked y'all to, give me some feedback on some of the things I was saying, and you absolutely delivered. And you brought up a lot of great points. I am also going to go over some things that, I was wrong, and I'm not afraid to say I was wrong. I hope this is going to be a quick video, but it's not going to be heavily edited, so it is what it is. And again, let me say from the very beginning, I do not have a dog in this fight, okay? I don't know Richard Allen's family. I don't know the Williams or the Germans. Like, look, I'm just looking at this from, I hope is an unbiased opinion, because that is what is important. Again, when I cover my vintage crimes on my regular stuff, we see all the time that these people are railroaded, put in jail, strung up in a tree, all these kind of things. Thankfully, now we have DNA evidence, and, law enforcement has come a long way, for which I am very glad. Yet still, the statistics on unjustly accused people, or people who are, convicted and are in jail and even executed, it's a huge amount. So that is the thing, is I just want to make sure that we are looking at things from all angles. Now, and like I said, this one right here, in my last video, I talked about the things that bothered me, one being the non-secular. So, let me share with you, someone said, Sarah Lopez said, "Are you sure he didn't say non sequitur?" Well, that makes sense too, which really basically means having nothing to do with anything else. It kind of fits the thing, and so I went back and I was looking at some of the places that I got this from, and apparently it wasn't just something that was said, but that at one time, people say, okay, I don't have video proof. People are saying that there was a certain release by law enforcement that did say non-secular, and it was spelled out, non-secular, meaning that it had religious elements to it. And so I feel like, they say it's been redacted or changed. I don't know. What I can say, and, they've talked a lot about the signatures and the odd crime scene. So it kind of leads me to believe that it could have been non-secular. This is actually an article from the Daily, let me get this back, from the Daily Mail in August of 2020. I'll put a screenshot up. You can look for it, but it says that the killer left behind at least 3 signatures at odd crime scene, which had a lot of physical evidence. I cannot understand if they had that much physical evidence, why it's taken almost 6 years, but let me go back to address the non-secular. I have seen a lot of people say and suppose that this was an occult, related situation. And we talked a little bit about that. Does it fit with, some holidays of those alternative religions? Yes, it does. But here is what I don't think. If the crime scene, if everything is as we believe it to be, law enforcement has given us, and the timeline is correct and all that, I don't see it being a ritualistic killing. And this is because if it happened in the daylight, that's not the way you do things, okay? Especially a sacrifice would never be made in the middle of the afternoon. It's not going to happen. First of all, the whole ceremonial thing is going to take too long. I mean, it's not going to be in a short little window. There's no way you're going to get, my phone again. There's no way you're going to get silence. I mean, there are purposes. I won't go into all of that stuff. There are purposes for why they do what they do, and it's not going to be quiet, okay? I don't see it. The only way that I can see it being any kind of ritualistic situation is if it were done, if they were abducted and they weren't in the area, and then it happened that night, and then somebody, snuck back down there while, the search was called off and they placed the bodies. That would be the only way. Otherwise, I'm going to say it's not. And so when they say the odd signatures, even if they are truly non-secular and they are of a ritualistic manner, to me, that would suggest that somebody is, and they've used the word staging, that somebody is staging it to look like, to throw people off and say, oh, this is a crazy bunch of people that just did this. And first of all, okay, let me say, is it possible that, this happened? Yeah, of course it is. Anything's possible. But let me just say this carefully, for something like this, what you may not know about these kind of situations is that usually, if somebody is used in a ritualistic sacrifice, you're not going to find the body. They're going to go missing, and that's going to be the end of that. Okay, you're not going to have pentagrams everywhere and all kind of stuff. That is for low-level people who are kind of just playing around. I mean, I'm not saying they're very beginners, but they're not going to be highly organized. The people that this happens to are victims of people in power. And these people in power have the ways and means to make a body disappear completely. You will never find it. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because you can dive into it, but you'll find that what I'm saying is true. So it is a big stretch for me if the situation is correct. Now, if for some reason they prove that they were not murdered in the middle of the afternoon, if it was a different time, if it was at night, well, maybe. I just think that these things were probably thrown in there to get the police going in a different direction, okay? Now, that's just my opinion, and I guess we'll find out what those odd signatures are. Now, so some of the other comments, Ron Leach said, do you think law enforcement might be in on something, hiding something? Doug Carter seems so good. I mean, I agree. I don't know Doug Carter. He seems like a good guy. Are they hiding something? I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, he said the tentacles, and this is the thing that gets me. When he says tentacles, that means it goes in different directions. I mean, think of an octopus. I mean, its legs are just kind of everywhere. So, when you're saying tentacles, you're not saying it's one thing. You're saying that it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's far-reaching here or there. You know what I'm saying? I think Doug Carter chose those words carefully, and I don't see any reason to think that he's involved in the crime. Now, however, what he is, doing, saying can be misleading. He has a reason, I guess, for not sharing information. To me, this whole case being so sealed, and now the gag order, to me, that's suspicious. I mean, either you have evidence or you don't, unless they're trying to flush someone out. And then what measures will you take to do that? I mean, We all want the correct justice for Abby and Libby. So there you go. Mike Stowe says, don't get me wrong, he's a great suspect. I think we were talking about, I don't know who we were talking about, maybe Shane? Maybe, no, we're talking about Richard Allen. I agree with law enforcement up to that point. After that, there are many red flags. The timeline in the PCA sounds good until it's interrogated. Yeah. Both Witness and Allen put him no further than the first platform. Switching gears, judge signs a weak PCA and then recuses. I mean, if that is not a red flag, I mean, yeah, you're kind of like, okay, judge, sign this. He signs it, and then all of a sudden he's like, I can't handle this. I don't completely buy that, because you already knew this was a national crime, that everybody's looking at it. You can't sit there and say, oh, well, now I realize I can't deal with the flack from this and the backlash. Yeah, that's a little bit shady to me. I mean, maybe he's honest, but I would say this: if you signed a paper accusing somebody, okay, for an arrest, you should have been prepared for the aftermath. And either you don't know how to plan, or that was just, oh yeah, I'll do this for you, and then I'm getting out of here because I don't want any part of it. To me, that's extremely suspicious. So thank you, Mike, for coming up with that. He says, I can argue guilt and multiple perps too, but as compelling as it looks, it just ain't there yet. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Richard Allen is guilty, of course I want him to be put under the jail. Of course I do. I don't think a lot of people are in this situation. If this is all the evidence you've got, this ain't going anywhere. But, that's my opinion. Okay, he also says, I hope I'm wrong, but all the red flags and unheard of sealing measures suggest what RA's attorney are making pretty clear. PC is weak. Yes, it is. If the PC is weak, we must ask ourselves if after 6 years and no apparent clue until recently, somebody isn't trying to retrofit a perp and possibly be railroading an innocent man. It's a thought. Don't tell me it hasn't happened before, because I know it has. He says that one thing I think is apparent from the PCA, the extreme sealing was more about covering law enforcement incompetence than protecting the case. I don't know if they were incompetent. I mean, this is a hard case. So many elements, and being a small town, and of course they had help from the state police and stuff too, but I don't know if they were incompetent. I guess that we'll see. I mean, if evidence comes out, such as all of a sudden they're saying, well, we didn't suspect Richard Allen because somebody misfiled something. If we have a lot of misfilings and whatevers during the trial, and new evidence that comes up that, was mislabeled or some kind of hokey mess, I'm just saying that would be incompetence or a lie, either one. Do some things happen? Yeah, sure. Stuff happens. People misfile stuff. But if we see a lot of this, or we see any more of it, really, I would say, it's not looking good for LE. So, okay. Laura Lisa, I think. She says, RA is 5'4", and just for that reason alone, may be the wrong man. The prosecutor claimed he wanted the PCA sealed because it could tip off other actors. After the second judge ordered it to be released, we see that there are no other actors referenced. Exactly. If you didn't want it released because you were trying to not jeopardize other people, or finding these other people, then why wasn't there something about that in the PC? It just doesn't make sense to me. The 5'4" thing, I just got a comment a few minutes ago from someone, and I may address that later. She was very clear in how witnesses can be wrong, and that is absolutely true. It's hard, if you look at the statistics of people who give a description of an assailant or a perpetrator or whatever, the actual person is usually a lot different. Sometimes the clothes aren't even close, and the looks aren't even close. Height, weight, all that stuff is very subjective. The only thing that I say about RA is that so many people said, okay, he's between 5'10" and 6 feet. That's what they were looking for. And I was listening to one of the witnesses' testimony, and I think she said she was like 5'7", 5'8", and she said he was about her height or a little bit taller. Now, I might not know. If I'm going to look across the yard, I'm not going to be able to tell how tall you are. If I am walking across a bridge, or I am actually passing you, then I will have a much better idea. The thing about Richard Allen is he's so short. Okay, not dissing on short men, but it is not the norm. Okay, usually men, even shorter men, are at least 5'6", 5'7", and for someone to be, I've heard 5'3" and 5'4", like that's just a little bit like an inch taller than what I am. If I saw a man my height walking around, I would notice, he was a shorter guy, definitely a shorter guy that I saw that was giving me this look or whatever. So, I know witnesses can be wrong, but to me, that stands out, That just is something that it would be hard to overlook, in my opinion. Which is not to say that I'm right. I could be wrong. Okay, Illegally Stalked said, tell you what, from what little I have heard of RA's voice, it seems smooth and soft, not gravelly and rough like whoever said Down the Hill. I totally agree. Now, I haven't heard a ton of stuff from him, but from the woman who got a lot of Kathy Allen's Facebook videos and pictures, I never heard anything that he was saying to be, his voice is a little bit higher, not squeaky or anything, but it's higher and it is smooth. Now, and here's another thing, like, look, I'm sure the audio has been enhanced, okay, especially if he was behind him, a phone, how good of the audio is that going to be at a distance? You're going to have to enhance it, but here's the problem with enhancing videos and even listening through different devices. And you can look this up. It's going to sound different on a different device, or if you've had to do any enhancements on it, it does change the sound a little bit, at least. I know when I was editing a video a couple of weeks ago, I thought I sound really squeaky, and I thought I could take the audio and just drop it down, just one little tiny line, and so I wouldn't squeak so much. And that one little adjustment, one little tweak, I didn't even sound like myself, so I had to just bump it back up there. So yeah, I have an issue with that, because when you hear the difference between guys, and that's pretty clear, and then you hear like down the hill. Okay, that's background noise, that's some kind of, maybe at distance, maybe it's the enhancing. My question is, how much did that enhancement change the voice? Could it be Richard Allen if the voice has not was not changed on the original, if you could hear it, would it have been him? It might have. I don't know. But again, if I am asking these questions, then a jury and good attorneys are going to bring up the same thing. So I think we need to be prepared. And I wanted to bring up one other thing. I believe it was for real. Talking about police deception is currently allowed in every state. Okay, so police deception is currently allowed in every state. I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, this is why many people, such as myself, can have no trust in their words alone. Well, of course. I don't trust anybody, so there you go. I believe it was him that said, and I'll have to go back on my comments, that actually he was in the situation where all of a sudden he gets arrested because they say he has committed some kind of crime in California. And I don't know what's in my eyeball, but he said the police arrest him, show him the picture, and he said it looks like him, like it's him in the picture. But he is in a state, in a town he has never, ever been to. So a lot of, stuff went on before he got exonerated. But, that's even him admitting, this looks like me. That looks like me in the picture. But yet I was never there. So, you've got a very sketchy, non-clear picture of Bridge Guy. There's so much speculation. What was around his neck? What was in his pocket? What was this at the side? Whatever. We don't have a clear view unless the police do. What I've said is it's not going to fly. And that's the problem. I think we need to be prepared that this stuff is going to come up. And, I'm not sad about it. I want him to have a fair trial. I agree. We're not there yet. We're just not. All right. I'm probably going to have to do another video. This is longer than I ever thought it was going to be. One last thing. And people have been talking about this a lot. What was Richard Allen doing during, for 2 hours at the bridge? I think he said between 1:30 and 3:30 or something like that. He was out there. I can't remember the exact time. That's a long time. First of all, my big question is, it was a Monday. Why weren't you at work? Did he have the day off? If you had the day off, then maybe that is more reasonable. Was that your lunch break? Because that was I don't know. It seems like maybe he didn't work Monday through Friday. Who knows? Secondly, that is a long time to be staring at fish. But with that said, and I'm not a hiker. I would not consider myself a huge outdoors person, but yet I love the outdoors. And if I were going to take the time to wander down the trail, especially if I had something on my mind, if I wanted to go take a hike or just take a walk, I love to look at fish. I couldn't spend 2 hours looking at fish, but I could look at them for a good few minutes, a good little while. If you have something on your mind, if you're working out a problem or whatever, sometimes you just want to be alone with nature. So, it's not impossible. He was way more of an outdoors person than I am. And, I don't know if I could spend 2 hours, maybe. But I don't think that alone is going to be why were you there for 2 hours. Some people like it. Strangely enough, some people are not sitting in front of their TVs all the time. So I don't think that that's going to be a huge issue. My personal opinion is that if Richard Allen was involved, I'm not saying that he was or wasn't, okay? I'm not convinced. I'm unbiased at this point. I see merit on each side. But if he was involved, I certainly do not believe that he could have done this on his own, and I think law enforcement has said that. I said it in my last video. Somebody else is involved. And, you know, there are some things that have come up from comments and other people's videos and just comments. Like, you know, if I'm watching your channel and your videos, you better know I'm reading the comments. Okay, I learn more from the comments, honestly, on a lot of videos than I actually do during you know, the actual video. It's just, there's so many opinions in there. And one of the things that someone said in a video I was watching is that this particular, really all of Indiana, and look, I'm going to go and say, you know, this is an international problem. We talked about this on the live stream I was in last night, that not just CP, but they were saying CP, okay, is a huge problem in that area. That doesn't surprise me. I think it's probably in a lot of areas, but rural, okay? The thing about rural areas, and I live in one, it is much easier to commit crimes of this nature, whatever, in a place that is small. It just is. And then I have another question. So if that's true, you know, again, I feel like it could have been a film related. You know what I'm talking about. Possibly. I don't even know that murder was supposed to be the end result. It could have just gotten out of hand. I guess we'll see. But another thing, and if you want to hear on this, I've been looking at a lot of things that have to do with drug trafficking in that area. Like I said, rural, in my area, tons of trafficking in my county and the surrounding ones. So, yeah. And the good old boys club, you know, that's the thing. If you don't believe it, I've got some property in oceanfront property in Arizona. Is that how you say it? I'd like to sell you. Yeah. Good old boys club is definitely a thing. So I will get to some more of your comments. I love it. I said, please be nice. Some of you were not so nice, but you know what? It is, it is what it is, I guess. I would still say, let's try to be civil, you know, because nobody knows. Even if you 100% believe that Richard Allen is guilty, you don't know. You can't prove it. Okay? So quit pretending that you can and that you know. You don't know. I don't know. We're all just doing our best to understand what's going on. Okay, I hope you have a great week, and I will get to some more of your comments. Please, anything that you want to say, please let me know. I love to hear from you. I will see you later. Bye-bye.